Is 6 o'clock on July 10th, 2016, and this is the special board meeting of the Poway Unified School District Board of Education. At this time, we will hear public comment, agenda item A, only on agenda items at this time, since this is a special board meeting. Do we have any public speaker cards? Clerk Patapow. All right, and then at this time, I'll ask if anybody speak now or forever hold your peace on the public comment items. Okay, then we'll move on to item B on the agenda. Approval ratification of contractual services report number 12, 2016. Because Dr. Robertson isn't here, I assume we're going to Ms. Hueso on this. Welcome, by the way.
Good evening, Board President, Board members. We do have an item for you with regards to ratifying and or approving some contractual services. If you do have any questions regarding any of these contracts, we do have our Risk Management Director, Steve, here with us in case you have any particular questions with regards to one particular item. Other than that, our staff will be available to respond to any questions that you might have.
At this time, we should take questions before a motion, but if there's a motion, I'm happy to take that now as well.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the contractual services report with a couple of friendly amendments, and I'll delineate those. The first one would be to reduce the fee not to exceed for the 16-17 contract for Artiano, Shinoff, and Holtz from $275,000 to $50,000 in order to give us some time to further review the prospect of transferring the two remaining outstanding cases. The second, a friendly amendment, is to postpone the approval of the additional legal firms due to the fact we already have 10 on contract. And approve those as needed going forward. And the third friendly amendment is the School Services of California contract to eliminate the Legislative Services contract with a fee not to exceed of $9,000 and continue with the collective bargaining services for $25,000 and the fiscal management for $3,660 plus reimbursable expenses.
Okay, is there a second? All right, then at this time we'll take some discussion on that motion. Did everyone get the motion? Do I need to repeat it? No? Okay, I know that Artiano Shinoff does have several ongoing cases, and I want to make sure that we leave them with enough to continue working on those cases. We did receive some information about how expensive it would be to change firms midstream, and $10,000 to $40,000 per case does not seem to me like a good use of taxpayer funds. There were also some other issues that staff shared. Our insurance claims manager doesn't recommend changing counsel, and it has to be approved by another entity, or the Joint Powers Authority. This seems like it's not a good use of our funds, so I want to make sure we don't lower that amount too low. I would be interested in moving it down into the $100,000 range. I think $50,000 may be too low to continue with their existing cases. On the other ones, I don't mind postponing, as Ms. Beatty suggested. I would be opposed to eliminating legislative services for School Services of California. We have several new people coming on board here, and I don't think now is a good time to eliminate any amount of information that we're getting into our district office and helping our staff, especially people coming in new. Who need as much information as they can get at this point. I would feel comfortable re-examining that after we have well, after we've given some of our new staff some time to acclimate and let us know that they prefer one legislative service over the other. Yeah, my 2 cents. Any other comments?
Just to follow up on that, one, I would like to find out, clarify if that is an accurate assessment of our risk management director's opinion with regard to the cases, because I didn't read that he actually said one way or the other whether or not he recommended transferring the cases or keeping them with the current law firm.
I didn't say risk management. It wasn't risk management.
Oh, who was it?
Our insurance claims manager from Keenan and Associates.
Okay, they're not staff. They're a consultant, so I don't know.
I believe they are the holders of they are our insurers, though.
Right, but I think they have an allegiance that's maybe different than ours, and I think it would be staff recommendations that we would be more beholden to. And then as far as the legislative services with school services, that description was in the contract that was provided to the board, and it's lobbying, it's advocacy, and it's frankly duplicitous with the services that we have through California School Boards Association, our membership with the Legal Alliance, and our membership with CalSSD, the California Association of Large Suburban Schools. This was something that was new, that was added. There has been a significant increase in the contractual services amount for this consultant 2 years ago. The contract was for fee not to exceed of $23,000. A year later, it went up to $61,000. Last year, it was $61,000. So it's definitely something to look at as part of reviewing perhaps an overuse by the district of consultants, and a significant increase in the costs of those consultancy contracts in the last couple of years, doubling and tripling. Thank you.
No, I'm okay with the reduction, but I'd go along with Michelle to make it 100,000, and I also agree with you on school services to leave that as it is.
Any other comments? Okay, seeing no additional comments, then we have a motion and a second, and I'll try to restate the motion. The motion is to change the fee not to exceed on Artiano, Shinoff, and Holtz to $50,000, to postpone the choosing any fee not to exceed for Daly and Heft, Fagan Friedman, Music, Peeler, and Garrett, and to eliminate the legislative services for school services of California, the $9,000 amount. Oh, and a comment.
Yeah, just a question. Curious as to what's the rationale behind necessarily postponing on the other 3 law firms on here, as opposed to assigning some numeric value of a not to exceed to at least provide the flexibility to use if necessary, without having to come back for a separate approval.
It seems excessive to have 12 law firms on retainer, so to speak.
Would they be on retainer, or
well,
would we just be authorized to give them?
It's kind of a quasi retainer. If we get, but just it seems a lot to have 12 law firms, and if we're looking to reduce some of our consultancy costs,
It's not costing us anything.
Right. It's just pre-authorizing.
Right.
Should we decide to?
right? Yeah, I mean that's valid. So.
I mean, couldn't we plug in something like, say, even $25,000 per for fees not to exceed in the event that we wanted to utilize them for something to get the ball rolling, and then we can come back with an amendment to increase later on if necessary?
Well, that's not the this one, actually, the one that's before us today is just a to be determined. So today doesn't have a dollar value.
Right.
It just allows us to then going forward create that contract. That's the way I'm reading this. So Yeah, I don't feel strongly about not approving. It just seemed a lot and unnecessary. But I could go either way.
Mr. Sellers?
My understanding is that by approving the three firms and the TBD, that gives staff the ability to let contracts with these firms, correct?
Can we ask somebody about that? Is that a question? That sounds like a question. Thank you.
Members and cabinet. Going into these contracts, that would give us authority to go ahead and use them if we so desired. We did not put them on the contractual services list in June because we didn't have any interest at the time in going forward with those firms. We did list the firms that we're currently using or have used in the past for certain departments. So if you think there's a need to use them at some point, we could go ahead. Otherwise, it may not be necessary.
So these firms were not approved by the board as part of the RFP that we went through?
No, they were.
They were.
They
They
just weren't
were.
approved in June.
Okay.
Yeah. So if we want to go forward, nobody used them to this point, and I don't know of a need to use them at this point, but you may.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Any other comments before we attempt this vote again? And I'd prefer not to have to restate the amendment. Are we all clear on what the vote is at this point?
Yeah.
Okay, then all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Nay.
Nay. Okay, so voting aye, Mr. Sellers and Ms. Beatty. Voting nay, Mr. Patapow, Mr. Zane, Ms. O'Connor-Ratcliffe. That motion fails. Is there another motion? Mr. Zane.
I'll move, picking up at least part of what Ms. Beatty put forward as far as not approving any dollar amounts for the three additional law firms, but proposing $100K for Artiano, Shinoff, and Holtz, and leaving School Services of California as is for now.
Okay, so at this point we have as is, except changing the dollar amount on Artiano, Shinoff, and Holtz from $275 down to $100,000, and everything else stays the same, as is. Okay, on a motion by Mr. Zane, second by Mr. Patapow. Is there discussion? Okay, if there are no further comments, all in favor? Aye. Opposed?
Nay.
That motion passes 3-2 with O'Connor-Ratcliffe, Zane, and Patapow voting aye, and Beatty and Sellers voting nay. And with that, our open session is concluded. We will now move to closed session at, let's see, 6:14. Thank you.